Welcome to Kidmissing TV. This is the case of Alice Crimmins. There's a lot to unpack. Look, her husband was suing for custody of the children, Eddie, Edmund Jr., and Missy, because he didn't feel their mother was fit. On the morning that there was supposed to be a home inspection, the children were not found in their home. That was July 14th, 1965. The window in their bedroom was wide open. A 10-year-old named Ralph Warnicki actually found the bodies, which is horrible. They say she went back to her normal life, which a lot of people had questions about. Her husband was a little strange. He was kind of obsessed with her. One time he hid in the basement because he had put a tap between the bedroom and the basement so he could listen to her being intimate with other men. And he ran into the bedroom and chased a man naked into the street. Yeah, they had their quirks. Little Eddie adored his sister. They were very close in age. They didn't really have a sibling rivalry. It is said that one time a little boy pulled hair out of one of her dolls, and he was like, "You keep your hands off my Missy. You keep your hands off my Missy," because he was very protective of her. I want to read you a letter that was sent to the district attorney. But before I do, Alice Crimmins found out that her phone was tapped. This time by police, I believe. And she would start the phone, any phone conversation, with the words, "Hi boys, drop dead." The letter, which they discovered in the file, to the former district attorney said, quote, "Dear Mr. Hentel, have been reading about your bringing the Crimmins case to the grand jury, and am glad to hear of it. May I please tell you of an incident that I witnessed? It may be connected and may not, but I will feel better telling it to you. This was on the night before the children went missing." But okay. The press had reported that a handyman saw the children at the window that morning, because the children used to sit at the window and wave and say hi to passersby. The night was very hot and I could not sleep. I went into the living room, was looking out the window getting some air. That's when at 2 a.m., a short while later, a man and woman were walking down the street toward 72 Road. The woman was about 5 feet in back of the man. She was holding what appeared to be a bundle of blankets that were white under her left arm, and holding a little child walking with her right hand. He now hollered at her to hurry up. She told him to be quiet or someone will see us. At that moment I closed my window, which squeaks, and they looked up but did not see me. The man took the white bundle and he heaved it into the back seat of the car. She picked up the little baby and sat with him in the back seat of the car. This woman was then with dark hair. The man was tall, not heavy, with dark hair and a large nose. This took place under a streetlight, so I was able to see it quite plainly. The car turned from the corner of 153rd Street onto 72 Road and out to Kidmissing Boulevard. Please forgive me for not signing my name, but I am afraid to. Wishing you the best of luck, a reader. P.S. About 1 hour later, I thought I saw just the man getting into a late model white car. She was found guilty of manslaughter and then got a new trial. And her second trial was also reversed by the appellate court because they kept making errors. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. I do not think, based on everything that I've seen on this case, that it was her. First of all, what the person saw doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you why. The two kids were very close in age. They were not babies. In fact, they were like 5 and 7 years old. Hold on. And this was in New York City, by the way. Okay, Eddie Jr. was 5. Alice Marie or Missy was 4. They weren't babies. And it's unlikely to me that she was holding a 4-year-old in one arm, bundled in blankets. That's a pretty big baby. A pretty big 4-year-old. So, this was some questioning that she was under in court. And I just want to read it to you. It's fairly short. Prosecutor Lombardino. She's talking about okay, one of the reasons that the case was thrown out was because of jury misconduct. They went to the crime scene even though they had been instructed not to, and the judge would not order a mistrial. So the appellate court said, bye-bye. Anyway. Was this... Okay. This was after her kids. He asked, where specifically in your apartment was Andrade? In my bedroom. Where were you, Mrs. Crimmins? In the bedroom with him, sir. And they asked if he came in that morning. And so he asked if her husband had come in, as he had on previous occasions. Yes, he did. Okay, this was the situation where he chased a man out naked. Here's another exchange about something that happened after her kids passed away. Lombardino asked, does Joe Roche have a swimming pool? She answered, he does. He asked, did you swim in it? Yes, I did. What were you wearing when you swam in Joe Roche's pool? One time a bathing suit, one time no bathing suit. And where were your children when you were swimming Joe Roche's pool without a bathing suit? They were dead. one of the jurors actually said to another, a juror named Sam Ehrlich, 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 said to another juror, quote, "A tramp like that is capable of anything." And that's when her lawyer went back for mistrial. In this case, there were a few books, a few movies, and honestly, like I said, I don't think she did it. I think that the all-male jury decided that she was, in their own words, a tramp, and therefore did it. I don't believe that there is any physical evidence whatsoever. There was a letter describing a baby, which neither of the Crimmins children were babies. In my opinion, they were preschoolers. They were not, and one was of kindergarten age. Well, not at that time. At that time, he probably wouldn't have started school till he was 6. But the father was so obsessed, Edmund Crimmins, with the mother, that I wonder about his complicity. It would explain how the kids were taken out of the house without her noticing. You know what I mean? Because he obviously wasn't over his ex-wife. Unless he was doing this, unless it wasn't an obsession with her, unless it was, how dare you bring all kinds of men in here and do this with these men with my children in the next room. You know what I mean? It could be that too, because he seemed protective of his kids, because the night that the kids ended up vanishing, he brought them home with him, or the night before, because he had decided to file for custody because she was on a boat and got locked in a bathroom and ended up sailing for the Bahamas and then sailing back. So there was a big fight over that, because the babysitter called him and said, "Where is she?" And it was the next morning when she got up, after she had fed them that night, that she found them gone. And I'm wondering if the father might have had something to do with it. Because I really don't think his obsession was with her. I think his issue was protecting his kids from her lifestyle. She was the Casey Anthony of the 60s. Poor choices, a lifestyle that, especially in the 60s, for a mom, was just, no thank you. And of course an all-male jury, which today they would not do. But for a long time, women couldn't serve on juries. I thought they could by the 60s, but maybe not. And so I think all of those things conspired to, in their own way, conspired to lead to conviction, which the appellate court overturned twice. So I think the appellate court should have overturned it with prejudice so that it couldn't have been redone. Although I don't know if they can do that. I know a judge can dismiss a case with prejudice or without. With means you ain't coming back. Without means have better evidence and you can come back. Just so you know. So, I don't know if they can do that. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.